OpenAI's Astra just dumped 249 pages of verified mathematical proofs onto the internet, claiming to have, quote unquote, solved 10 open math problems. And the number that has, the entire tech world spiraling today, they supposedly did it for a jaw-dropping token cost of just $2,000 at Sol API rates.
Right, which is exactly the number we need to drag out into the daylight and interrogate right now. Because the word solved is doing a massive amount of quiet, heavy lifting in that sentence.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that $2,000 price tag, I mean, that is a very specific, heavily caveated metric. This is not a story about an AI just replacing the global mathematics community overnight for the price of, like, a used Honda Civic. It's a messy, uneven, and honestly fascinating story about 10 very distinct research packages. So our mission right now is to put the data first. We're going to rip through exactly what Astra accomplished, separate the actual breakthroughs from the marketing mythology, and look at the real-world implications for your workflow if you are an AI developer or a user trying to replicate this. Because Astra didn't just crunch known formulas here, did it? I mean, the core claim is that it generated entirely novel mathematical arguments.
It did. It generated new arguments rather than just reproducing textbook proofs.
No.
But, if you're imagining an autonomous AI mathematician locked in a digital room, thinking deeply for a week, and then sliding 249 pages of perfect proofs under the door, that is completely false.
Okay, wait, then what does this pipeline actually look like? Because the documentation mentions human researchers preparing manuscripts. So is this an AI brain, or is it just a hyper-advanced drafting tool?
It's a hybrid pipeline, and understanding it is crucial for anyone building with AI right now. You have AI generation followed by intense human curation, followed by more AI formalization. So human researchers took those raw AI-generated mathematical arguments, translated them into readable manuscripts, and then fed them back into the model so the AI could formalize them into what are called lean certificates. OpenAI is taking responsibility for the correctness of the final output, but it was a heavily collaborative, iterative process.
Which really defines the current frontier of AI for anyone listening. We aren't dealing with a standalone magic box. We're dealing with a system that demands human experts to curate and, babysit the output. But that brings me back to this phrase, 10 open problems solved. Mathematically speaking, do they actually solve 10 problems, or is solved just a PR word for, made some progress?
They produce 10 distinct types of mathematical progress, and the gap between solving a problem and advancing a problem is everything. Precision here is the difference between reality and a slide deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of these are outright proven conjectures. Some are clean counterexamples, meaning they definitively disproved something, but others just improve a known bound, or they nail down a growth rate without finding the exact numbers. We call those scoped theorems.
Right. To see why that distinction matters, we need to look at the actual data. Let's group these results by what the AI actually did. Start it with the outright assassins, the counterexamples. Because in math, if you want to kill a universal theory, you only need one black swan. Right.
Exactly. A single counterexample destroys a universal claim forever, which makes these the cleanest, most definitive solves in the entire Astra portfolio. Let's look at the explicit non-sofic group result.
Right. The data says the model constructed a counterexample using the unit group of the binary leave-it algebra. I'm going to stop you right there. Translate that into English for me. What is a sofic group, and why should we care?
Sure. Think of a sofic group like a massive, infinitely complex social network. For a long time, mathematicians assumed that no matter how weird or infinite these networks got, you could always accurately simulate them or map them onto a giant but finite grid.
Okay.
It was this comforting assumption about the structure of mathematical spaces.
So the assumption was basically everything infinite can eventually be modeled by something finite if you make the finite thing big enough.
Exactly. And Astra essentially built a network using that binary leave-it algebra you mentioned that absolutely refuses to fit onto any finite grid no matter how big you make it. It completely breaks the assumption. Boom, claim dead.
Wow. Okay, that is a clean kill. And it did the same thing to Elaine Kahn's proposed principle, the rigidity conjecture. The data shows Astra produced infinitely many non-isomorphic property T groups that share isomorphic group von Neumann algebras. Again, super heavy jargon. What did it actually break?
Right. So Elaine Kahn is a legendary mathematician, and he proposed a principle about how certain algebraic structures, von Neumann algebras, relate to the geometric groups that create them.
Okay.
He thought there was a rigid one-to-one relationship in specific cases, Astra didn't just find one edge case that broke this rule. It generated an infinite family of counterexamples. It is a firm, complete rejection of the principle.
So that's two definitive resolutions right there. But looking at the data for the compactness and degeneracy conjectures, I'm noticing a huge discrepancy in OpenAI's marketing. Astra disproved the Erdős-Simonovitz compactness conjecture and the Erdős degeneracy conjecture using bipartite graphs. Wait a second, those are two completely separate claims. Did they just bundle two results into one category?
Sure, absolutely did.
I knew it. So it's actually 11 results, not 10. The marketing team just needed a nice round number for the headline.
Which perfectly highlights the looseness of the framing here. 10 solved problems sounds great, but the mathematical reality is 11 different advancements of varying completeness.
Right, so those are the counterexamples. Let's pivot to the second major grouping, which is the boundaries. These are the results where Astra didn't necessarily solve the parent problem, but it drastically narrowed the playing field. Let's talk about high-dimensional sphere packing and binary code bounds, because this has immediate practical takeaways for any engineer listening who works with data transmission.
Let's start with a visual for this one. Imagine packing oranges into a crate. You want to fit as many in as possible with the least amount of empty space, right?
Right.
In 3 dimensions, we know the optimal way to do this, but mathematicians and computer scientists need to figure out how to pack spheres in 80 dimensions or 500 dimensions.
And why does an engineer care about an 80-dimensional orange?
Because in data transmission, those spheres represent valid pieces of information. When you send a message over a noisy channel like a satellite link or a 5G network static, can alter the signal. If your valid messages are packed too closely together in the mathematical space, the noise bumps one message into another and the data is corrupted.
Okay, so error-correcting codes basically rely on keeping those messages far enough apart so that even if they get jostled by noise, you still know which message was originally sent.
Exactly. And Astra pinned down the exact exponential strength of a major technique called the Cohn-Elkey's linear programming method in high dimensions. It also exponentially improved classical upper bounds for binary and spherical codes.
Which is the first general improvement of its kind since the late 70s. But to be clear, based on the data, it didn't give us the exact optimal packing density for every dimension, right? Like it didn't hand us the perfect error-correcting code.
Right, it didn't solve the whole problem, but it established absolute mathematical limits. It tells developers and researchers, stop looking over here. The absolute limit of this technique is X. It radically narrows the search space.
Let's stick with boundaries, but move to computer science. The permanent arithmetic circuit lower bounds. The claim is that Astra proved division-free circuits need a certain minimum number of gates, specifically omega of n squared log n. Now, when I see circuit bounds, my mind immediately jumps to the biggest unsolved problem in computer science, VP versus VNP. Did Astra just solve the algebraic version of P versus NP?
No, it absolutely did not, and we need to be very clear about that. VP versus VNP remains wide open.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. What Astra did was prove lower bounds, meaning the absolute minimum computational effort required for very specific restricted computational models like division-free circuits.
So it's like proving that it takes a minimum of 100 steps to walk across a room, provided you aren't allowed to bend your knees. It's a true bound, but it doesn't prove how fast you could cross the room if you had full mobility.
That is a perfect analogy. It is a massive bound improvement, but it is not the holy grail.
Okay, let's move to the third grouping, which touches on security and the quantum realm. The closest vector problem hardness. The data shows Astra proved an n to the power of 1 over 400 factor hardness for the Euclidean version via a direct reduction from 3SAT. Now, if you are a developer listening right now and your company is currently migrating to lattice-based post-quantum cryptography, your heart might have just skipped a beat.
Oh, for sure.
Because lattice crypto is entirely based on the closest vector problem, right?
Oh.
Does this mean Astra just broke our future encryption?
Take a deep breath. Your lattice-based crypto is entirely safe.
Okay, please explain why. Because proving something about the hardness of the closest vector problem sounds extremely alarming.
It sounds alarming, but this result is purely complexity theoretic. Lattice cryptography is like hiding a secret point in a massive, infinitely repeating grid of dots. If someone wants to crack the encryption, they have to find the closest grid point to a specific target. What Astra did was prove a new theoretical limit on how hard it is to approximate that answer in worst-case scenarios, using a classic logic problem called 3SAT as a bridge.
So it's theoretical worst-case math, not a practical algorithmic attack that someone can run on a server tomorrow to steal your data.
Correct. It is a brilliant mathematical connection, but it does not represent a practical attack on deployed cryptography.
Thank you for the reassurance on that.
Yeah.
And just to round out this quantum section, Astra also proved that exponential parallel repetition holds for every finite two-player entangled game.
Which is a broad, clean result for quantum complexity. But again, look at the scope. It specifically says finite two-player games. It doesn't extend to infinite variants or games with 3 or more players. It's a major advance, but it's tightly scoped.
And we also saw Astra nail down the growth shape for multicolor Ramsey numbers, and it proved Earhart's volume conjecture in full generality under specific conditions. So looking at this entire portfolio, from quantum complexity to group theory to high-dimensional geometry to combinatorics, which of these actually matters the most?
Honestly, if you ask a mathematician, the answer depends entirely on their subfield. The counterexamples are the most definitive, the bounds are the most practical, but honestly, the specific results aren't the main breakthrough here.
It's the breadth, isn't it?
Absolutely. A single one of these results, like the non-sofic group construction, that could anchor a human mathematician's entire career. The fact that Astra operated across vastly different mathematical vocabularies and disciplines, that polymathic output is the truly unusual feat here.
But crossing all those different fields didn't just happen in a vacuum. Which brings us to the most opaque, heavily debated part of this entire announcement. How much hand-holding did the AI actually need? Because OpenAI drew a very specific line in the sand. They said AI generated the arguments, humans prepped the manuscripts, AI formalized it in Lean. But looking at the data provided, there are massive, glaring gaps in that narrative.
Huge gaps. The public account is entirely silent on the hidden variables of human labor.
Exactly. If you're an engineering manager trying to replicate this workflow, you need to know those variables, like how many failed attempts were there before Astra spat out a workable proof? How exactly were these 11 problems selected out of the thousands of open questions? Did human researchers jump in to supply key lemmas or partial constructions when the model got stuck?
And how much expert correction was needed during that manuscript prep phase? Because, if an AI generates a 90% correct argument, but a team of PhDs has to spend 3 months wrestling with the model, correcting its logic, and engineering prompts to get that last 10%, well, that changes the ROI calculation entirely.
Which completely shatters the illusion of the $2,000 cost. Let's tear into that number right now. OpenAI claimed the token cost to find these solutions was roughly $2,000 at sole API rates. But you're telling me I can't just hand an AI an open problem given a $2,000 API budget and expect a nature-level paper to pop out?
Not even close. That $2,000 figure is a highly specific, incredibly narrow metric. It only represents the token cost at Sol API rates for the successful solution token usage.
Are you kidding me? So it completely ignores the billions of dollars in model training. It ignores the internal infrastructure compute. It ignores all the failed tokens and dead-end attempts we just talked about. And most importantly, it ignores the human salaries of the top-tier researchers who spent hours, days, or weeks selecting the problems, prepping the manuscripts, and verifying the logic.
Exactly. You did not get 10 validated research programs end-to-end for the price of a MacBook. It is not a project budget.
And I'm pushing back on my own cynicism for a second here.
Yeah.
Even with all those massive caveats, we have to admit what that number actually represents. It highlights an incredibly impressive marginal inference cost. If the raw generation of the successful tokens for universal-level math problems is down to a few $1,000s, generating the raw material for a research program is becoming unimaginably cheaper.
It is. The economics of generating candidate mathematical arguments are fundamentally changing. But, generating an argument is only half the battle. The other half is verification, which brings us to Lean.
Right, the 249 pages of Lean formalized proofs. Let's explain what Lean actually is, because this is the bedrock of OpenAI's claim to correctness. If I'm a software developer, how should I think about Lean?
Think of Lean as a hyper-pedantic logic checker or a software compiler, but for mathematics. In traditional math, a human writes a paper and says, clearly, by a standard argument, step 4 follows from step 3. And human peers read it and they agree. Lean does not allow that.
Lean wants the receipts.
It demands the receipts. Lean forces every single step to type check. It ensures that the formal theorem follows exclusively from explicitly stated definitions and previously established results. There is zero room for unsupported logical leaps, intuition, or assumptions.
So, using the compiler analogy, Lean guarantees that the code will compile and run without any syntax errors or broken logic loops. But And this is a critical distinction for anyone trying to understand the limits of AI. It doesn't guarantee the program actually solves the user's business problem.
That is the perfect way to phrase it. Lean doesn't care about community convention. It doesn't care if a result is novel or interesting. And crucially, it doesn't care if the formal theorem the AI proved perfectly captures the intended informal claim that mathematicians actually care about.
So you could write a 500-page Lean proof that flawlessly proves that 1 plus 1 equals 2. Lean will certify it as 100% correct, but it's completely useless to the mathematical community.
Exactly. Formal validity in Lean and full mathematical acceptance are overlapping concepts, but they are absolutely not identical. Public release on Lean is just the very first step of scrutiny.
So when OpenAI says they take responsibility for correctness, we shouldn't confuse that with independent scientific consensus.
Not at all. True validation in mathematics is a brutal, multi-layered filter. First, you need manuscript inspection, like can human experts actually read and understand the philosophical argument?
Right.
Second is lean verification. Is the underlying logic unbroken? Third is independent expert review. Are the assumptions valid? And does this actually advance the field? And finally, formal journal peer review. With Astra, we are currently only sitting at step 2.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. If we zoom all the way out and look at these 11 advancements, the $2,000 API cost, the Lean certificates, what does this all mean for the future of mathematics? What happens next?
Well, to understand what happens next, you have to look at what Astra didn't solve. Think about the counterexamples. It disproved the rigidity conjecture, the compactness conjecture, and the degeneracy conjecture. When you disprove a universal claim, you don't end the game. You create a massive vacuum.
Right, because now the math community has to figure out what the actual rule is. Astra closed a door, but it blew open a massive window.
Exactly. The natural next question is to find weaker hypotheses to replace the ones Astra just destroyed. The AI hasn't solved mathematics. It has just rearranged the entire board and forced humans to ask better questions.
It feels like the fundamental bottleneck of research is shifting right before our eyes.
It is. Historically, the hardest, most labor-intensive part of mathematics was generating the candidate constructions, finding that elusive argument, or connecting a technique from high-dimensional geometry to quantum complexity. Astra proves that AI can do that generation at a staggering pace.
Which means the scarcity is shifting. If generating the math is suddenly cheap and fast, the bottleneck is no longer creation. The bottleneck becomes understanding, prioritizing, and reviewing the math. Human attention is now the scarce resource.
That is the core insight of this entire event. Lean can check logic all day long, but Lean doesn't have taste. An AI can generate a million logically sound proofs, but mathematicians still have to decide which questions are actually worth asking. They have to decide if the assumptions behind a result are meaningful to the physical universe, and how a specific proof fits into the broader tapestry of the field.
So the right response to this massive data dump of AI math proofs isn't panic. If you're a developer or a researcher, this isn't a victory lap proving that AI has conquered human intellect. The pipeline has changed. The generation has been commoditized. But the standard of truth hasn't changed.
And that standard requires time, consensus, and human judgment. The AI is a flashlight. It can chart 1,000 possible paths through the dark in a fraction of a second, but we still have to be the ones to decide which destination actually matters.
Which leaves you, the listener, with this to think about. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. If AI models make generating complex, verified mathematical proofs exponentially cheaper and faster than the human ability to peer review them, how do we as a society decide which truths are actually worth